Welcome to Myth Busting 1. So today we're going to be talking about how long does one actually need to learn a language. So there's this idea, and I come across it very, very often. Very often I see your comments underneath my films when you say that you've been learning for years, or else that you do not believe that one can learn a language within 3 to 6 months. So how long do we actually need to speak English? This is very important question. There's a huge difference between learning a language and speaking a language, and also learning about the language. Yes, it takes years to learn a language, but it takes only few months to be able to speak it. What's the difference? The difference is that when you learn a language at school or at any English course or language course, what you're going to discover is that you are being asked to do multiple of pretty useless things, wasting your time on learning about the language and not learning to speak. Let me explain. Once you went to school and you were learning your native language. Actually, you were not learning your native language anymore. You were learning about language, and you were asked to do various grammar activities, right? You were looking at the sentences in your language. You were asked to kind of underline what's the verb, what's the noun, and all sorts of different things, teaching you about the language. But if you remember, before you started learning about the language, you already spoke this language, right? And everything was communicated to you in your own native language. So why is it that when we go and learn English, suddenly we discovered that we are being presented with vocab and grammar to begin with, and then when we are learning this vocab and grammar, doing all of these exercises, all of these activities, suddenly we are expected to speak. So if I was to ask you a question, going to school and learning your own grammar, your own structures in your own language, how learning these structures would allow you to speak your language? They wouldn't, would they? So why is it that we are expected to speak English after learning about English? And this is what takes our focus away. Basically, we are asked to focus on grammar elements, to focus on words, but not focus on speaking. So is this myth busted? Yes, it is, because it takes years to learn all the present simple, present continuous vocabs, different auxiliary verbs, and all these hard things which actually keep us away from communication and focused on the details, the smallest elements of the language. While if you were to actually learn to speak a language, you would be able to speak it very fast. Because if we are talking about communicating in English, if we are talking about having a conversation with someone, we don't need to know all these grammar niggly bits. All we need to know is how to produce sentences, and then we build over them, we build up on them while we are practicing. And this is the experience that I have and my students have. When we come to the lessons together, day one, they start speaking on the basis of what they already have, or whatever vocab we're going to be using at the time. But during this first lesson, they are already constructing their own sentences and building upon them. And within a month, they are able to say any sentence in any situations and express whatever they want to say. But the only reason they can do it is because they don't focus on details, grammar and words. What they focus on is communication. So in terms of our myth, does it take years to learn a language? Yes. If you're doing it the wrong way, it takes years to learn the grammar, the vocab, and to practice it. And through multiple years of practice, maybe one day you will be able to start speaking, but I wouldn't say confidently. But does it take years to speak English? No, it doesn't. It literally takes a few months to be able to speak if you focus on the right things. So if you want to learn to speak English, if you want to learn to communicate, and if you want to leave all this hard work behind, join me and I will show you how 4 fundamental laws govern the whole English language. And I will show you how even you can start speaking English within few days. Join me at my webinar.